Welcome back to ADHDKC Conversations, the podcast where we talk all things ADHD, from parenting tips to personal stories, expert interviews, and everything in between.
Everything in between. We are your hosts, Lauren and Kristen, and today we are super excited to introduce a new face to ADHDKC, and her name is Sara Whelan, and she is the brand new parent group coordinator.
Sarah's jumped in.
I'm excited.
Sarah's just jumped in with both feet, like helping organize events, connect with families, and to bring fresh energy to our parent support efforts. But tonight we want to talk a little bit about who is Sara, how did she find ADHDKC, and what brought her to this work.
Well, I say we get right down to it. Welcome to the podcast, and we're so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. You all have welcomed me with open arms and really helped with this transition. And I'm excited to be here. I've found out about ADHDKC probably about 5 or 6 years ago. A mom of 2 girls, teenager in high school and middle school daughter, who both have ADHD, and I am a late diagnosed mom with ADHD too. So I've been kind of lurking on the website a little bit and attending some different events that you've had, and I finally just decided, you know what, I want to actually get more involved and share all of the amazing resources that this organization has for our community. And I think a lot of people don't know about it, and I want to try to get the word out.
Yeah, well, I think your story sounds like many of us. I think all 3 of us on this talk are late diagnosed ADHDers. All of us probably diagnosed after our children were diagnosed.
I was going to say, welcome to the Late Diagnosis Club.
We need a t-shirt, I think. Yeah.
You know, that's a very good idea. There is a t-shirt contest going on right now. What a way to plug that. All of you artists in audience, please submit your t-shirt ideas. You can find out about that from our newsletter and social medias. And I will post that in our thread that comes out with this, how to get to the t-shirt contest. It is open through the end of the month. So nice segue to that little promo. But you are more than just a person with ADHD and a mother of people with ADHD. You actually have a career that's kind of led you to be able to do all of this. So can you kind of talk a little bit about your background?
Sure, I'm happy to. So I've been a school psychologist in 3 different states, Texas, Missouri, and Kansas, for the past 17 years. And I've worked in public and private schools. And of course, have worked with kiddos with all sorts of different needs, disabilities, but a lot of kiddos with ADHD. And so I definitely have experience working with families and kids in the school setting. And I've recently transitioned into private practice therapy work. And I love working with this group of families, kids, parents, because I know that it can be lonely. And I feel like I'm able to now kind of meld all of my worlds together, personal, professional. And also think I bring to the group and to hopefully to the larger community some perspective on how maybe to navigate school supports and just to be a support, because it can be difficult. I'd like to help with working more with schools, whether they be public or private somehow, and helping parents connect and feeling like that they can access information that's accurate and just be supportive, because it can be really, really daunting and lonely for families navigating the school piece for ADHD. So
yeah, I'm in the middle of all of that right now. And as much as there are resources, I'm like, okay, but I don't know what I need to be the voice for my kid, and what does that mean, and what does that look like, and how much do I press?
Yes, that's hard for me too, even advocating for my own child, feeling like, how do I advocate without pushing too far?
Yeah.
Or enabling them, all of the things.
Yeah.
So,
So I gotta ask, was there a moment or an experience or something that you can almost pinpoint that made you realize all of this is something that I want to be a part of?
I think for me, I was at a point where I felt like I had enough professional experience, but also seeing my own daughters and our family go through the whole process, the grief process, the whatever you want to call it, of, oh, this is how our brains work. And having lived some of that through that, I feel like that's kind of what pushed me. And also finding out, because it's so easy to get lost in all of the different possible resources that are out there. I love that ADHDKC kind of gives me and gives a voice to, here's evidence-based and research-based supports and advice, because as parents it can be hard to know what to do. So I think it wasn't just one thing, it was thinking about it for a while, but being at this point in my life and my career and as a parent, wife, and I wasn't working in schools anymore. And so I actually had a little more flexibility in my schedule that allowed me to do it, because I've been thinking about it for a while. And I have to say, she's not on here, Jeremy Didier is like, has inspired me in so many ways, and just getting to know her and hear her be so supportive and positive. And um, she was the first person that I met that actually who told me about ADHDKC. So I just wanted to be part of what she's been a part of too, and to help some other people get involved. So.
Well, that's fantastic. And, I think that experience as a parent and your past history and everything really, really gives you the perfect place to be that group coordinator, to say, I was the one that, has ruminated on this for a long time too. I get you. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the next steps, because with all of the information you were talking about, next steps are overwhelming to take.
Yes.
But speaking of that lovely Yay parent group, our next meeting is coming up. And Kristen, you're the speaker on this one. And
Yay!
I am stoked for this, because you are going to be talking about something that every parent who manages ADHD has questions about, including myself, medications and side effects.
Yeah, as a pediatrician in my day job, I talk a lot about ADHD. I have a lot of patients with ADHD, so end up talking a lot about ADHD. And of course, one of the primary treatments is medication. And there are parents who struggle with starting medication because they're worried about side effects, whether it's immediate side effects like weight loss, or long-term side effects. What is it going to do to their brain? What do they need to monitor, track? What else can they do besides medications? And unfortunately, there are lots of things that we can do to support, but medications are really integral for so many people. But then they're really complicated, and not so much complicated in the sense of parents need to know all of the chemistry behind what it's doing in the brain, but it's sometimes hard to find the right medicine for the right person. They always want that magic, I want to do that cheek swab thing I heard my friend talk about that can tell you which medicine to do. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It is not recommended to do testing to see what medicine to do. We have to do trial and error with medications. And that means starting with a low dose of something and advancing that dose as it's tolerated until it works well. And if it doesn't work well or isn't tolerated, then we have to switch to a different type. And so it might take several months, even for some kids with multiple different medications, to try a medication. And that can scare parents off sometimes. And as a pediatrician, one of the reasons I got so involved with ADHDKC way back in 2012, when the famous Jeremy Didier asked if I would be a part of things. I've known Jeremy a long time. She got me into this, and I'm really happy I could help share information with parents of all sorts. I have 15 minutes in a typical office visit. Everybody has about 15 minutes with their doctor or whoever their prescriber is. And that's not enough time to really talk about all of the issues with ADHD, including medications. So with this talk that I'm going to be doing, I really want to highlight the most common side effects and how to keep track of things and how to talk to your prescriber about it. And if it's not working, what you can do, whether that's changing the medication or changing something about your lifestyle that can help support the child in whatever side effect they're experiencing. So there's a lot to talk about. and we'll try to do it in an hour. And I'm a fast talker, so we'll do it.
Fast
I
talking.
cannot wait. This is going to be full of information that all of us as parents can, or caregivers can, or need to hear, want to hear. So it's going to be so helpful. And you fit as much in the hour as you can. I know you'll be able to plug through quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's like all the talks, though, with the ADHDKC. You know, the majority of them are therapists teaching an aspect of what they would talk about in their therapy, whether it's some way to manage an executive functioning skill or anxiety or whatever. And I've learned from ADHDKC, that's one of the most beautiful things being part of this group. As a pediatrician, we're not taught any of that therapy stuff or the coaching skills or any of that, how to work with our patients. So I will take little tidbits that I've learned over the past over a decade of hearing speakers talk and give those little bits to my patients over time. So it's helped me be a better pediatrician. And of course, having a child with ADHD helped inspire a lot of me getting involved with this, but also knowing exactly what parents are going through with the fear of a medication. My own child took several different tries at the very beginning, so I get it. And I know how hard it is. The first medication she tried, she had a horrible reaction to it. She acted like she was manic. I will never forget. We were actually going to a Royals game, you know, like most parents. I didn't want to start on a school day.
Yeah.
I wanted to start on a day that I could watch her.
Yep.
So it happened to be a weekend. We were going to see the Royals, and the whole car ride there, the whole time during the game, and then the whole ride back, she talked. I didn't even know that she understood the rules of baseball, but she gave play-by-play action. She talked about all the stats. I mean, she knew so much about baseball that I didn't know she knew.
Yeah.
Because she was so hyper-focused, and it was scary. So the next medication, because I knew she needed medication, she was one who was doing okay academically. Her teacher didn't realize the struggle she was having, but she was very much emotionally spent at the end of the day when she got home, because she masked so well during the day. So I wanted her to be on something to help support her so she didn't have to be so frustrated. But I was scared after starting the first medication what we could do next. And as a doctor, my mind told me that it was okay. I knew that each medication was different. Her body would handle it differently. And we could try with low dose of something else. And thankfully, that next medication, oh no, actually, I misremembering things. The very first medication she did was a non-stimulant, because this was back in the day where Strattera first made it.
Oh, my husband was on that back in the day.
Yeah. And she actually was on it for a little bit, did okay, but then she started to have side effects that were intolerable. So we had to switch. So the second medication was a stimulant, which is actually the first line medication. And I can't remember exactly why we did it opposite of that, other than I think Strattera was new and we thought it was going to help the anxiety and the ADHD. And of course, anxiety was a big component of her thing. So, you know, like everybody, we try. And when it didn't work, we tried something else. And I should say my daughter is an adult and she is very outspoken about ADHD as well. So I don't think that she will mind me talking about her. She is proud. She has the ADHD shirts and everything. But anyway, after some trial and error, we did get her to a point where she was on a medication that worked really well. And aside from adjusting doses as she got older, she was on it for a very long time. And then at one point, we switched to a generic version, and most medications do okay with a generic version, but Concerta in particular, the generic versions do not work as well. And she had horrible effects, even to just that tweak of
Really?
brand versus
Wow.
the dispensing system of Concerta is very unique.
Really?
And they did not make that very well with the generic version. So she didn't tolerate that. So we had to go back and try to figure out, you know, how to adjust or change or just go with name brand. So like everyone else, I know how hard it is to put a child on long-term medication and how important it is to do routine follow-up and to monitor for any side effects and adjust as needed. And that's the big thing. You just have to be patient with it and work with your prescriber. Unfortunately, sometimes I will see kids and they don't tell their parent or me what they don't like about it. And it's not until they become a little older and more vocal about it that they describe issues and we can make some adjustments, and then they might be like, whoa, this is great. Or they might start refusing medication. So if the prescriber is not aware of the side effects and the side effects are interfering with how they feel, how they're eating, how they're sleeping, if that information is not shared, then we can't help you get to a better place. So I feel like it's really important for people to understand the basics of medications, how they work, and what to do with the side effects.
Well, and one thing I would add, because what an asset, honestly, Kristen, to have you who has experienced that, gone through it, because especially like knowing kind of what ADHD medications are, like stimulants versus non-stimulants, just that kind of sounds scary when you're talking about putting your child of whatever age on that, because, you know, we don't want to change them. We don't want to suppress them. We want to help them manage it. My 7-year-old is on a non-stimulant, and it's helped him a lot. I, on the other hand, am on the generic version of Concerta, and it works great for me. I don't want to put him on a stimulant because, like, there's that fear piece. He's 7. Are you going to talk anything about what you can look out for or helping to give your kids a voice? Because especially at a younger age, they almost don't know how to voice that, what to voice, because they don't understand how it should make them feel, because it's not like I have a headache, so I'm going to take some Tylenol, my headache goes away, right? It's I can tell something is different, but I don't know why it's different or what is different.
Yeah, and sometimes little kids will express it in different ways. They'll just refuse to take their medication. They'll say they don't like it. And maybe it's that they don't like the taste, but maybe it's that they don't like the way it makes them feel. So watching their behaviors while they're on it, watch how they interact with their friends, watch how they eat, take note of if their sleep patterns are changing, if anxiety is keyed up. You know, maybe they're showing more signs of anxiety. And of course, they don't walk in with a sign saying, I'm anxious. They will complain of, I don't want to go to school, or my head hurts, my tummy hurts. They act differently. They don't say they have anxiety. And anxiety is not just always saying, I'm scared. It's so many different ways that it can present. It can look like anger. It can look like pain, illness. There's a lot of things to watch for. And I'll talk more about like how to approach those, but that would actually be another good topic to talk about, is what to watch for when the medication's not working. Maybe I'll talk about that next time.
Yes. How do we know when to go back and say, hey, this is not working? And even how do we help support our kiddos with some language and understanding, and to say it's okay, you know, my body feels like this, and do you like it? Do you not like it? You know, those sorts of things. It'd be really empowering for them. A lot of times kids will tell me that their friends will tell them, you know, maybe they're not getting in trouble as much at school, so that's great with the teacher, but their friends will be like, but you've changed. Are you the same? You know, and so dealing with, I'm still me, but, you know, I want my friends to like me. Do they like the former me, who I am on this medication? Yeah.
And even that's sometimes hard. Sometimes they're not as fun as they used to be, but they're appropriate more. And so the younger kids liked that kid that was joking in class and drawing attention away from the lesson plan because it was hilarious.
I would say the impulsivity piece is hilarious.
Right. And then as kids get older, they want to be better students. They appreciate that they really need to learn. And so then they start isolating the child that used to make them laugh and they thought was funny. And I think that's why a lot of social problems with ADHD come more as kids get older.
Yeah.
It's a totally different topic, but the medications can help in the same way that it appears to change their personality. But as long as they're still having fun on the playground where it's more appropriate, that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great point.
Yeah.
Right? Reminding them of, like, and parents that, let's still likes recess, having great, you know, says they have friends, maybe they have a friend that complains, but kind of have to look at the whole picture, because we can get in our own heads about what the day looks like, you know, uh,
And it is different.
catastrophizing all those things. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
Well,
they are just sullen in their room and they used to be the kid that wanted to go outside and play with their friends all the time, that's a difference. That is not okay.
yeah,
If it's really like
absolutely.
takes away their personality.
Well, and one thing that doctors have always told me, as well as my own mom, when, I was very first a parent, is you know your kid better than anybody. Like, trust that instinct and say, something
Hmm.
is going on. I don't know what it is, but something's not right. And talk about what that is, because, like, Kristen, I'm sure you've had conversations where people are like, I don't know what's going on. And just telling them, you're like, okay, let me
Right.
dig into this a little bit with you.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's not an easy, oh, by the way, at the end of the visit, I was here for my earache or my well visit. Sometimes it really takes some time and maybe multiple visits to figure out what's going on, because there's a lot of things that are at play here. How a kid is sleeping, how much exercise they get, how much screen time they get.
Yeah.
Are they being bullied? Are they hungry all the time? There's so many things that can impact the way a child thinks, learns, behaves. So it sometimes takes time to figure out what the correct diagnosis or diagnoses, because they travel in pairs and groups often.
Yeah.
And then figuring out what the most important thing to address first is.
Hmm.
I think most prescribers don't want to start multiple medicines. Oh, you have ADHD and anxiety. We can't do both at the same time with
Yeah.
medications. But working with a therapist or a
Hmm.
coach can help teach skills that can help the anxiety aspect while we work on medication for the ADHD. Because some people struggle with their therapy because they can't focus and remember to use the tools that they're teaching. So
Okay, speaking of which,
Hmm.
well, so speaking of traveling in groups, there is a very large group coming to Kansas City. I want to touch on that real quick before we wrap up. The International Conference on ADHD is coming to Kansas City in November.
Yeah. It is the biggest ADHD event of the year. There's speakers, all sorts of breakout sessions, networking, tons of resources for parents, not just professionals, but professionals, parents, adults with ADHD, even if you don't have kids. I cannot wait. It's going to be my first time attending, and it's right here in Kansas City. And yeah, it's going to be
It'll be
big.
my first, so I'm excited.
And it's international, right? So it's not just at the organization that we're connected to called CHAD, but there are two other organizations, right, Kristen? I think.
yes, there's a coaching organization, ACO,
Yeah.
and adults with ADHD, ADD.
Okay.
They are co-hosts, the three groups. And then the international aspect, there are speakers from all over the world that are well known to help support ADHD in whatever aspect. And so this is, as you mentioned, for parents, people with ADHD, adults, and there's going to be a teen session, I believe, for the first time on one of the days. So it's going to bring in some teens too. And then it's for teachers, it's for therapists, it's for psychologists, it's for physicians, it's for just about everybody. They have different sessions going on at the same time. The only time I've been to this before was when it was in St. Louis a few years ago. And I had a hard time deciding, do I want to go to this room or this room? Because they're both sounded good.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. You will not be bored. And you will meet people just like you. So it'll be fun.
Absolutely. And if you are a CHAD member, which KC is the local chapter of, you get a discount on the conference registration. That's right. I said a discount.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So now is the
Gotta love a discount.
perfect time to join. And if you are here local to us in Kansas or Missouri, be sure to select ADHDKC as your local chapter. And then you'll be connected to all of our local events and resources. And I may be biased, but we have a really, really fantastic local chapter, and the resources and support go deep here, especially. I know that, but Anyway, again, not that I'm biased.
I agree. It's a fantastic group that we would love to meet many of you, whether you're new to this or you've been living this for a very long time. Come join us. We would love to see you there. I think it's going to be amazingly empowering and fun to be with a group of people who know what we live and what we walk every day, right? So, and have a similar perspective on this piece of life and how our brains work, or our kids' brains work. So, we'd love to meet you all in person in November.
Yes.
Yeah, excited.
And then our local groups, we have, of course, this parent group that now Sara is in charge of.
Yay.
But we also have an adults with ADHD group, a women with ADHD, a teen with ADHD, all groups that meet different ways. And then Lauren here leads the Community and Connect, which is a peer-to-peer support group that meets online every other Friday, I believe.
Every other Friday, and it's casual, all about resources and connections.
So
awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So be sure to subscribe to this lovely podcast, and we are on the social medias at ADHDKC for updates on all of the meetings and the groups that you've heard so much about, events, all the things that you need to be in the know with, and we'll keep you on track.
Yes. So I do hope to see everyone at my talk, and I will take questions. The talk will be Managing Medication Side Effects, July 15th at 6:30 Central Time, but it's online. So you can join us from anywhere and just register at ADHDKC.org on the events page.
Absolutely.
Easy and quick to register. We'll see you online or in person very soon. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.